Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about 10 propaganda techniques that you are certain to see in the upcoming elections. One thing to remember about propaganda is that doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. In the U.S., when you hear the term propaganda, generally you feel it's a lie. It doesn't have to be a lie. It could be something that's completely true. Propaganda doesn't care whether or not it's true or not. So we're going to go over 10 techniques that surface in pretty much every election. And this way, when you see it, hopefully you'll be less susceptible to it. Okay, first is ad hom. We all know what that is. Mudslinging happens in every election. The next is ad nauseum. Repetition, saying something over and over and over again. That's ad nauseum. Saying it again and again. Ad nauseum. Okay. Appeal to authority. We normally think of this as a logical fallacy, and it is. But it's also used a whole lot as a propaganda technique during elections in particular. Those are endorsements. This person says that this is the best candidate. This group of business people support this person. This environmental group supports this person. These are appeals to authority. Appeal to fear. This is something that generates anxiety and fear of the alternative. Support my position or this horrible thing will happen. You see this all the time, anytime somebody talks about clean energy. Those who support dirty energy show up and tell you, well, it really doesn't work that well. Do you know how hard it is to get these components? Do you know? And it doesn't attempt to present dirty energy as a good thing. It's just better than the alternative. This was a lot of people's motivation for voting for Biden, honestly. Appeal to prejudice. Now, this doesn't actually have to be about race, which again, how we picture it in the U.S. This is adding emotional value and language to something, or associating something with something that you know your audience doesn't like. Woke. CRT. That's the perfect example. They took something that most people had no clue what it was, villainized it, and because nobody really knew what it was, they could apply it to anything. That's appeal to prejudice. Bandwagon. Everybody's doing it. You want to be one of us, right? You can't be part of this in-group unless you vote for our person. Bandwagon. Inevitable victory. Every politician I have ever seen does this. When we take the White House, introducing your next governor, inevitable victory, making people want to be on the winning side and proclaiming yourself as the winner. Beautiful people. This is always a funny one to me. In American politics, it's very revealing. Politicians will often have their case made by people that they know their constituents will find beautiful. It always cracks me up that if the best example of this, what do almost all women on Fox News look like? All blonde hair, right? That thing. And it doesn't look like that on the Democratic side when they employ the same technique, and they do. But that's actually always cracked me up because it acknowledges that at least those people who make decisions like this for the Republican Party are very aware of the racism that exists there because they play into it pretty heavily. Card stacking. Now, this is where you provide a bunch of information, but you're omitting a lot. Most politicians do this. Abbott, governor down there in Texas, is certainly going to try to do this with his little border stunt. He will put out all kinds of information about how successful it is, probably using those same numbers that have already been debunked. But he'll put them out anyway and talk about how successful it was, never mentioning the cost, never mentioning the conditions, never mentioning any of that. That's card stacking. Most politicians do this. Glittering generalities. Every politician does this as well. This is a general term that is just supposed to make people feel better. It's a slogan. Make America great again. It doesn't mean anything, but it makes people feel all warm and fuzzy, right? If that one doesn't do it for you, hope and change. It's the same thing. These are glittering generalities. All of these 10 things, you're going to see them throughout the election cycle. Again, doesn't mean that they're not true when they're used. Just understand that when somebody's using a propaganda technique like this, it doesn't matter if it's true. That doesn't factor into it. What matters is that it resonates with the voter, you. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.